Today's society has an implicit characteristic, that is, words must be understood in reverse, and actions must also be done in reverse. For example, when you see something, if you like it, the more you have to show that you don't like it, then you can achieve it. If you are happier, the more you have to appear calm. The angrier you are, the more you have to appear indifferent. The more people say they don't care, the more they actually care. The more people say it's okay, in fact, the more problems there are in your heart. So when you listen to others, you must also listen in reverse. When you observe others' actions, you must consider the opposite. Learn to listen and understand in reverse. You are a normal person. If you hear something, believe it, understand it, think it, then you are an abnormal person. And the person who is hurt the most is you. I know your life is very busy, but what I say is not easy to absorb, especially difficult to grasp. If you only listen to it once, my advice is to watch it to the end. Listen to it over and over again when you are free or doing housework. Share and save the playlist for more convenience. My friend, I am sure that within a few short months, your thinking will develop to a new level. The ancients greeted everyone and everyone. In mathematics, there is a rule called two negative numbers multiply to get a positive number. That means when a negative number is multiplied by another negative number, the result is positive. But when a positive number is multiplied by a negative number, the result is negative. This rule teaches us that when others play tricks and pretend to be more cunning and deceitful than them, then the result will be positive. Thinking, speaking, and acting also follow logic. This is the opposite, so it becomes correct. Everyone expresses the opposite. Opposite response. The final result is correct. Understanding this rule, we will immediately understand many things that we could not understand before. For example, many people always talk about humanity and morality. When they open their mouths, it is for the benefit of others, but in their hearts, they calculate their own benefits, because the more they lack something, the more people want to show it. We need to be careful with people who say good words and beautiful ideas, because they often calculate very deeply in their hearts. We should not easily believe them. What people say, you should just look at their actual actions. This society is very sophisticated. Everything you can see directly is often fake. For example, celebrity income is fake, listed company books are fake, academic research papers are fake, TV viewing ratings are fake, the number of orders on e-commerce platforms is fake, live stream data is fake, the number of followers is fake. Even milk tea shops have to pay people to create fake, crowded scenes. This reminds me of the sentence in the Diamond Sutra, all phenomena are illusory. If anyone can clearly see these fake things, then that person has the ability to see the truth. Tathagata is not a person, but an ability to see through the truth. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, there is a saying, false, then real, then false, then fake. Translated, false, then make it real, then make it false. Military tactics is never to criticize deception. This is the most special point of this society. It uses a series of external manifestations to make us get lost, challenge our ability to think deeply. Those who build excellent mental models are able to think independently. From there, expose false phenomena and move towards success. On the contrary, those who follow the crowd and are vague will be deceived by illusion, and eventually will be eliminated by society, even taken advantage of. The order and logic of this society is designed extremely cleverly. Those who can stand firm and live knowledgeable in this society are not normal people. We often say that this society has two systems of order. The first system is things that can be said but cannot be done. This is the rule of Confucius on humanity and morality. The second system is things that can be done but cannot be said. This is the rule of Guiguzi on conspiracy and strategy. So, Remember that there are things that can only be said but cannot be done. There are things that can only be done but cannot be said. If a person speaks and acts consistently, that person often cannot survive in society. That is why many people say one thing, think one way, but are very popular because they fit the rules of this society. This is the way of society. What is the way? One yin, one yang, one island. Roughly translated, one yin, one yang is called island, meaning if a person can divide a matter into two opposite sides and control both sides, that person has achieved island. The most excellent skill in dealing with people is to use the stick of the boss to beat the boss back. To deal with a bad person, the best is to be worse than him. If you only use kindness to influence him, the result will often be a tragedy. Seeing through this society requires an extremely large intelligence. The golden rule to understand people is, if you become 1% leader, you will control the remaining 99%. The truth is always in the hands of the few. In other words, most people are stupid. People who cannot hold the truth are also because of that. They are taken advantage of by others all their lives. In the world, 99% of people all day long only think about doing nothing but enjoy quick and short-term stimulations, do not like to think deeply, live superficially. The nature of commerce is to make money from these weaknesses of people. Of course, there is an important condition that first you have to overcome these weaknesses of yourself to become one of the few people. Only then can you freely overcome the rest and conquer them easily without any hindrance. So, making money is also a form of cultivation. It is the process of eliminating human weaknesses to make yourself more and more mature and perfect. If not, you will also be caught up in and immersed in it. So what is the greatest morality of commerce? It is to satisfy people in the world. Many people have a lack of inner self, immature, lack of reason, and do not like to think. They are like big children, always screaming and demanding, and if you can meet their needs to make them content, then that is a kind of morality, even a kind of merit. The two most difficult things in the world are, first, to make your thoughts enter other people. Second, put other people's money into your pocket. The first is related to the soul, the second is related to benefits. So there is a saying that touching the little profit is harder than touching the soul. The interesting thing is that these two things often happen at the same time. When you can install your thoughts into the brain of others, touching their soul, they will voluntarily put money in your pocket, touching their benefits. So the highest possibility in the world is to be able to install an ideological system into the brain of the other 99 people. With normal people, if they are forever immersed in the bait of merchants such as short videos, entertainment programs, games, then they will only become poorer and more exploited. Only a few people wake up to realize that they cannot be immersed like that forever, start to learn and think to solve the problem. From there, they can gradually escape their situation. This is the living state of 99% of people, have many friends on Facebook, but no one talks to them sincerely. In the list, there are many phone numbers, but no one contacts. When the phone sometimes rings, there is a call from a stranger, either inviting you to borrow money or inviting you to buy a house, or delivering goods or delivering food. If not, then it is a call from an annoying scam. Work is boring, don't want to move forward but can't back down. Start a business, don't have enough courage and capital. Try to do something, don't know what to do. Lie down poor, but not secure. When going to bed, think of 1,000 ways, but wake up in the morning, can't walk any path. Entertainment programs watched all, TV series no longer interested, bored playing games, only know to rely on short videos and live streams to recharge energy, thanks to online shopping and promotions to maintain the little emotion left in life. Know clearly you are very empty, but don't know what to do. Vague feeling, insecure, anxiety and depression, no ability to change, not enough courage to leave day after day, year after year, living in a dead end, hopeless. However, the most inexplicable thing in human nature is that people often think it takes 5 years to do something great and become a great person. This seems like a long time, but if you spend 40 years living daydreaming around, busy uselessly, in a boring group of people, then it's not at all long. All suffering in life, except for the physical pain caused by illness, all other sufferings come from human concepts and attachments. It is the ignorance of not awakening that is the root of all suffering. People are not bound by events, but by their own perception of those events. That is, they are imprisoned by their own thoughts and perceptions. The biggest prison in the world is human thinking. Each person lives in a prison of thoughts, a cage of their own perception. Similarly, all suffering from the outside is to remind us that it is time to break the chains of our own thoughts. But in reality, the number of people who can awaken is very small. We often say that a person awakens thanks to 1% of reminders from others, and 99% is thanks to wounds from life. Many people borrow hundreds of millions to have cosmetic surgery rather than improve their own thoughts and perceptions. Take another example. If you put a banana and money in front of a monkey, it will definitely choose the banana because it doesn't know that money can buy a lot of bananas. We laugh at the stupidity of monkeys, but in fact we often make the same mistake. For example, if we put money and awareness in front of people, most of them will choose money because too many people don't. Know that awareness can not only be exchanged for more money, but also bring happiness and health. People are like monkeys, always attracted by small benefits in front of them without wanting to think about the deeper things behind. This is the basic attribute of animals, and 99% of people still keep this attribute, even being confused in now it and forever unable to become the remaining 1% of people. How to become 1% of these people? Understanding others is wise. Understanding yourself is wise. Winning others is beneficial. Winning yourself is strong. Understanding yourself, overcoming yourself, is a typical characteristic of this 1% of people. First of all, this is a difficult truth. The hardest thing to see in life is ourselves. Even if we look in the mirror, the image in the mirror is not necessarily our true self, because there is a principle in physics called asymmetry. So, how to see ourselves? Only when we collide with something, react, then we can feel and see ourselves. So the best way to see ourselves is to see others as a mirror reflecting our inner self. All the desires, ambition, ignorance, or negative emotions we see are all reflections from within ourselves. If we do not accept or do not like something, it means our inner self is lacking something. For example, when we feel uncomfortable with others when they show off their feelings, it may be because we lack love in our hearts. When we see others showing off, we may feel frustrated because inside we do not have enough confidence. When we see others suffering, we sympathize because in our hearts there are also tears. When something appears before our eyes, immediately observe yourself. Why do I have this feeling? Where is my inner self lacking? What other people make us most uncomfortable is often also what we cannot stand about ourselves, but we do not admit it. So, the people and things that make us hate, envy and resent will keep repeating until we accept it. In fact, the way the world forces us to accept ourselves, the external phenomena that make us uncomfortable appear to make us more perfect. The important thing is whether we can realize this in time or not. The more we resist these conflicts, the more the unpleasant experience will last and increase. When we turn inward to realize our own problems, we will reconcile with ourselves, and the conflict with the outside world will also disappear. The real reconciliation is the reconciliation with ourselves. When we use the outside world to reflect on ourselves, see and perfect ourselves, and accept who we are, it is also the time when we accept the whole world. That is the state of inner fulfillment. When you reach this stage, you will become one of the 1% of special people when your inner self is more steadfast than anyone else, brave, decisive in action, hard-working and self-aware, uncompromising, at the same time gentle and feminine on the outside more than any woman, radiant, gentle, sharp in observation, subtle in thinking, take new to win steel. From there, no one in this world can be your opponent. Everyone, remember. The future people will be divided into two types. The first type is 99% of the number of people who live by instinct. That is the majority of normal people who surf every day, watch short videos, follow live streams, play games, shop for counterfeit products, act as negative audiences in society. These people are just consumers of social resources. Their only contribution to society is to conform to the algorithm mechanism, become part of big data. The second type is 1% of people who go against instinct, those who maintain independent thinking, highly disciplined, and constantly progress. Algorithms cannot control them. On the contrary, they can see through algorithms, master the laws of society, of truth, and truth, become the leaders of society against the movement of the weak path. Those who can do the opposite of human instinct are all outstanding people who become that special 1% of people. When you have become 1%, how to control others. Remember the golden rule. Just say a few good words and you can convince 50 people. People who give a little benefit will grasp 70 people. People who say a few good words and give more benefits will convince 90 people. Take advantage of all human weaknesses. Say the right thing at the right time for the right benefit, and you will control 99 people. Remember this sentence. It is your treasure in controlling others. If you have done all this and still cannot convince the other person, then the other person belongs to the remaining 1%. When two people in the 1% meet, it is the most wonderful thing in the world. What is fate? This is something that completely breaks your perception. First, there is a very important coincidence that scientists have discovered. In real space, there are only 4 physical elements we can see. The remaining 96% are dark matter. It is this invisible dark matter that controls the operation of the world. Psychologists have discovered that only 5% of our thoughts are conscious. The remaining 95% are controlled by the subconscious. It is the unconscious that controls our behavior. This is the iceberg theory. Psychologist C. Jung said that if you cannot feel your subconscious, you will be controlled by it all your life. When you are not aware of your subconscious will become your destiny. Your subconscious controls your life, and you call it fate. This is the truth. The so-called destiny is the 96% dark matter, is the 95% subconscious. The subconscious is the hidden thing because it exists before our innate consciousness. Innate consciousness is the product of education and later environmental influences. The subconscious has existed since before we were formed. A human being can be divided into 3 parts: ego and superego. Ego is the attribute of the animal, ego is the attribute of society, and superego is the attribute of the higher space. Subconscious is the superego. Deep inside each person there is a hidden ego, also known as superego, that goes beyond the trivial things of the world. It exists for the love of wisdom and virtue. Once you find this ego, you will open the door of true energy that will continuously supply you with energy, giving you more power to turn the impossible into possible. True ego stores our experiences, beliefs, and perceptions, as well as decides our views, behavior, choices, and many other things. Actually, the most precious things in life, such as talent, mission, strengths, understanding, and so on, are all managed by true ego. However, its level of awareness is very high, so we often find it difficult to recognize its presence. Think about the people around you. What makes some people who looked very excellent in school later become normal, while those who looked very good when they were young, nothing special, but achieved unexpected achievements? The answer is very clear. They have found their true self. We all know that to be successful in something there are three main factors: heaven's time, earth's advantage, and human harmony. But in fact there is a more important factor, which is the fire god. Once said this in full: heaven's time is not as good as earth's advantage. Earth's advantage is not as good as human harmony. Human harmony is not as good as period harmony. Period harmony is not as good as the god fire. God means harmony with yourself. The God is the true self. It will silently help you from within. The true self is your primordial spirit, always silently by your side. Once you find it and take advantage of its power, everything will go smoothly as if with the help of the true God. The true self consists of two parts. One is talent, two is mission. Talent is something you were born to do better than others. No reason, you are born better in that field. Mission is something you were born to want to do. Whether in life or in your dreams, you want to do it even if no one gives you any benefits. You still want to carry out the mission. The talent and the mission are the two main channels connecting to the true self, are also the two main channels to connect with the higher world, because these are innate things that come from our previous lives. Only they can connect with the true self and with the higher space. Once these two channels are opened, we can easily receive energy from the higher space, easily achieve success, and live true to the true self. The true destination of life is the synthesis of talent and mission to become the true self. There is a saying that raising your head 3 feet up, there are gods. That God is the true self, always silently observing all your actions from above. Socrates often said a sentence, "Understand yourself." In the Tao Te Ching, there is a saying that knowing others is wisdom, knowing yourself is enlightenment. These are all reminders to us that we must find our true self. In the beginning, our nature is inherently good. If you believe this, people are born pure and kind, but over time they are influenced by the world. Their behavior is polluted by vulgarity, and their purity is obscured by greed. People began to become deluded and rushed into seeking recognition from the outside, racing day and night without stopping. Gradually, the true self was covered by an increasingly thick layer of dust, and their behavior became more and more lost. Wang Yangming called it human conscience, which means digging deep to find one's own original self. Zen Buddhism talks about seeing the mind, seeing faith, seeing nature, then becoming a Buddha. Everyone has Buddha nature, it's just that it's covered up. We need to constantly observe our inner self and punish ourselves to realize it. In fact, it's understanding our own higher self. Philosophers say that we must search for ourself, but we say that we must maintain our true self. In fact, these are all the same principle. Why 99% of people can't find their true self? Everyone, when born, has been given something called a spell by heaven and earth, or injected with a needle. The soul is tightly locked up. We often say that this world is inherently a maze, like a pre-designed program. The core purpose of this program is to make us lost. It uses many forms of false temptation and desire to open our eyes. Life seems to have countless choices and possibilities, but in fact it is just a magic trick. Those flashy things are to make each person unable to find themselves. So, most of us are caught up in the superficial values of the world, living according to the eyes of others, living according to the standards set by society, and living in the satisfaction of personal desires. So we are further and further away from our true selves. People who live like that, no matter how hard they try, no matter how successful they are, in the end, cannot be happy, because deep down in their souls, there is still a true self calling. This is not what we want. It is a pity that most people do not receive this reminder from school, teachers, or parents. The most important thing in life is to understand yourself. What is my personality? What is my talent? How should I set my mind? We are trained as standard parts so that interests, talents, and personalities are eroded little by little until, when we get caught up in the social machine, we become assimilated and lose ourselves. Everything in society seems to be designed to crush our true selves. We are pushed forward by an invisible force to grow up according to the standards of society, constantly ignoring our own characteristics and eventually losing ourselves. Even as when some people awaken and find ways to escape the feeling of being oppressed, only 1% actually succeeds. The other 99% are completely crushed. Even if you graduate with excellent grades and have a high-paying job but a lot of pressure, if it is not what you really want to do, sooner or later you will leave it out of boredom. If you study science and engineering but your true passion is creativity, sooner or later you will spend your free time creating, and maybe because you are good at it, you will give up your original job. All the ambiguity, anxiety, and depression in life comes from us getting further and further away from our true selves. Try to think about our lives. Is there always a big net covering us so we can't escape all our lives? We call it fate because we are not aware of the existence of the true self, so we always feel controlled but don't know who is controlling. Jung said an important sentence: when the subconscious is clarified, fate will be changed, meaning, when you find the true self and come to terms with it, you will no longer be controlled by it but will live in harmony with it. Then the concept of fate will no longer exist. Awareness is much harder to change. When you have awareness, the subconscious will automatically start to change. The most frightening thing is not having awareness, being stubborn, not recognizing, tyrants and stubborn in narrow-minded views. Finally, you will realize that what really prevents you is not your ability, time, method, or steps, but the things you don't dare to face in your heart. You always avoid when encountering them: self-esteem, prejudice, negative emotions, narrow-mindedness, ignorance, and selfishness. These are the biggest obstacles in finding the true self. If a person finds the true self, they will definitely become an excellent, successful, and happy person. The first half of life is to label themselves using social standards to shape themselves into a person suitable for society and complete the tasks assigned by society. The second half of life is to tear off those labels. When we have completed the social task, we begin to find ourselves, find our passion and desire, and then wholeheartedly move towards the true self. Life is like a river. No matter how winding or bumpy it is, the final destination is still the ocean. I hope you and I can find our way in the fog, understand the principles of life, become that 1% of people who take control of their destiny, and master the wisdom of life.